morning, everyone. Guys, before we get started, I need to explain something. Why I am not here at exactly 8:30 every morning. For 40 years, I've been doing Tai Chi, 30 with Master Zhang and 10 on my own. And never once in those 40 years has any class ever started on time, whether it's with me or with Master Zhang. Um,
Break the cycle, honey. You can do it.
no, I can't. There's two things that I can't do. I can't lower my voice, and I can't get to a class on time. It's just the way it is. Let me tell you a story. You all know the great Horowitz, the great pianist Horowitz. He was famous for making mistakes during his concert. And one time, a, a reporter had the balls to ask him, Master Horowitz, you made a terrible mistake in the third part of this concerto. Why did that happen? And Horowitz said, because I'm a musician, not a machine. Guys, this is just a family thing that we all get together and do. I will try to get here when I can, but this is just the way it goes. And Annie, I'm sorry, I'll try to remember to lower my voice, but usually I can't. All right? Kevin, is that loud enough for you? Actually, I have the microphone turned up
You do from
because we were doing an interview yesterday with a guy who's got a podcast. So let me turn it down. I wish I had something I could turn that would make me get her earlier, but how's that? Kevin, how's that? Better?
How's
Okay.
his knee this morning?
I'm sure it's good.
It's warm in here this morning.
Yeah, it is quite warm. It's supposed to get up to 80 tomorrow. And the other side. Lee circles. And reverse. And shoe circles. And reverse. And pink circles. And reverse. Imagine you've got a giant ball that's as tall as you are right in front of you. And your stick is going to need to go over that ball. The ball's right in front of you, so there's going to just be two ways to move the stick. You can go under the ball like this, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a stick move, right? Or you can go over the ball like this, right? In both cases, you're going around a curved surface. This exercise is actually going over. So it's not about slinging the stick up like this. It's about using your back muscles, the loins, to move the energy from the ground up. And again, now from the bottom of that foot, from the ground up. The ground up. I can see we're going to have a retreat and work on this. Imagine that Annie and I were having a stick fight, so it's just like in Robin Hood.
Let's do. I'm ready for it.
It's like
You've
in
been
Robin.
so annoying this
Robin
morning.
Hood,
Let's go.
right? So one classic move is just a block. Block like this. If I wanted to hit Annie in the head, right? I'm not going to, but right? Block and then continue. Or if she wanted to hit me in the head, block and continue. So she's actually coming over, not under. Like I said, under's okay. That's also a move too. It's just not the one we're doing right now.
Well, I notice when I do that I'm working with my weight in a very different way.
What Annie just said is right. You end up working with your own weight in a completely different way. And yes, that's correct. Okay, turn sideways and face there so they can see what you're doing. Over. Now, what that does, I'll stay there again. What that does, in order to do that, you have to use these muscles between your ribs and your pelvis. It's called the loins. As in, gird up your loins and fight like a man, right? That's exactly what they meant. Okay. Right. In biblical times, men wore skirts, basically, and they were usually agricultural workers. So when they say gird up your loins, what they meant was you take your skirt, lift it up to your loins, and put your belt around it so that your pelvis is free, you're free to move and fight. That's what gird up your loins actually means. And good. Okay, you can put away your sticks.
It's hot in here, honey.
Head turns. And center, and head rolls. And down to center and reverse. And down to center and back up. Forward spinal wave. And reverse. The quad, the hip joints, right? So bicycle. abdominal rolls. From your perineum to just above your navel. And reverse. And good. The windmill. And good. And squats, starting on the left side.
Are feet flat for this?
On this first set that we're doing, for me, they're not flat because what I'm doing is leaning forward a little bit on my knee and then letting my heel come up wherever it comes up. So there's a kind of squishing action on the leg itself. When we do the central position, Malasena, I call it prayer position, then they are flat on the floor. And then the right side.
I'm experiencing a noticeable lightness of being today. Doesn't seem to be associated with my meat body, but it's significant.
What do you think's going on?
I don't know.
And then the left side again. And the right side again. And prayer position, or if you know yoga, malasana or malasana. And this one, your feet should be flat on the floor. Okay, hands on the knees, up slowly. Keep your head down a moment. So I don't know whether you all caught Kevin's question, but it's a very good question. He was asking whether the foot should be flat on the floor during squats. Often you hear people say, people who are leading squats, yes, it should be flat on the floor. However, that can put a real strain on some tendons. So especially in the first couple of years, I think you should just let your heel rise as much as it needs to. Even after 40 years of doing this, I let my heels rise. When I do malasana, right, like this, then they're both on the floor because it just happens naturally. So maybe the answer is, don't force yourself into some position in order to meet some arbitrary rule, because that often gets you into a little bit of trouble. Follow your body. Do what feels comfortable, and don't do anything that feels dangerous. Okay, over the next 8 days or so, I want to go through 8 moves in a series called Fang Zong Gong. Fang means to make. Song means relax. And Gong means, well, this is an exercise routine. So it's a make relax exercise routine. And these exercises are meant to help the qi move through the body and literally just to relax. So it's not a series where you strain, it's a series where you really let yourself just relax. And we're going to start with the first move today. This is actually a move that we do in several of the different Qigong series to clear the body from old qi. So it's kind of like out with the bad air, in with the good air. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to charge the 3 major dantians. This, I'll put my signal on here. This is the dantian right below the navel. But it's not the only dantian you've got. The dantians and the chakras are very closely related, but there is a difference between them. The chakras are considered to be doorways to other dimensions of your being. The dantians are considered to be storehouses of energy. Now, actually, those are sort of 2 sides to the same coin. It just kind of depends a little on what you're focusing on. So I see Genevieve has her orange X on, excellent, right? So, of course, everything in Tai Chi and Qigong starts from the dantian and returns to the dantian. It's a cycle. So the first exercise we're going to do is just to cleanse the body. Normally, when you're bringing energy into the body, you bring it into the body somewhere, maybe from heaven above is yang energy, from earth below is yin energy. You bring it in and you bring it to the dantian. Not in this exercise. In this exercise, we're going to gather yang qi from heaven and just wash it through the body and let it pick up any discomfort or tension and just wash it out the bottom of the feet. So breathe in, bring the energy into the top of the head, the crown chakra, and wash it through the body. Breathe out. Breathe in again, and then breathe out. Feel the energy go down your legs and out the bottom of your feet. And we're going to do that 7 times. And good. And relax. So this is a little teaching section, not just a practice section, so I'll have to talk. One thing you can practice in this series is your breathing technique. Masters Zhang, my teacher, and Grandmaster Feng would always say the same thing about breathing. Just breathe naturally. However, if you stayed with their classes long enough and did private lessons, they would teach you the real breathing technique. The reason they said breathe naturally is you don't want an artificial breathing technique getting in the way of your qi flow and your mind and just the comfort of your body. That's more important. But this particular series of exercises and the Hunyan series are very slow and relaxed. So practicing the breathing technique can come very naturally to these 2 series. If you practice it in these 2 series and just get used to it, because it's a very natural breathing technique, it's just a little different than we normally breathe, then you can carry it over into silk reeling and into the Tai Chi forms. It's a very powerful form of breathing. It's actually a more natural form of breathing than what we actually do as adults now. So one of the names for this is baby breathing. You breathe like a baby breathes. Basically, what you are doing is engaging not just the thoracic diaphragm to cause your breathing, you're also engaging the pelvic diaphragm. When you breathe in, the thoracic diaphragm lowers, and that creates a little vacuum, and that draws air into your lungs. But unfortunately, we forget about the lower diaphragm. When you do baby breathing, you engage both diaphragms. So not only does this one come down a little bit, this one comes up. Master Zhang used to say, you just very, very lightly lift your anus. The anus is actually a huge ring of muscles. It's, after all, holding your entire structure of your body here between your pelvic bones. It's very, very strong. And when you don't engage that, you don't breathe as deeply as perhaps you might or you should. So instead of just going like this, you're actually going like this. And that's when you breathe in. This is a little strange when you think about it, because what you're actually doing is compressing inside. You would think, well, I'm breathing in, air's coming in, I need to expand inside. But actually that's not true. What you're really doing is compressing, and that's what opens the lungs. So that compression causes the lungs to expand. That's how it works. However, make sure when you do this, you do it very gently. It's almost more something in your mind than it is, you're not forcing anything. It's just a very gentle awareness of the thoracic diaphragm coming down and the pelvic diaphragm coming up. All right? So, when you breathe in, you compress. When you breathe out, you relax. Breathe in, compress. Breathe out, relax. Compress, relax. Compress, relax. Now, there are many advantages to that form of breathing. That's called, in India, it's called reverse yogic breathing. So it's a breathing technique they use in yoga. It's also used, obviously, in Taoism too. It has a lot of benefits, but one of the best benefits is it really helps the body relax. If you want to really relax your fists, try this. Take two fists, ball them up, squeeze hard, count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Now, I don't know about you, but I can feel a kind of relaxation happening that I don't get, sort of, If you want to expand, you need to start by contracting. If you want to relax, you need to start by creating a little tension. Now, we're not as in this. It's very gentle, but then relax and breathe in and relax and breathe in and relax. If you do that through a 30 or 40 minute routine, by the time you're done, at least if you're like me, you will be much more relaxed than you were before. So in a way, the movements are important, but the breathing is in some ways even more important. However, don't distort your movement to match it to your breathing, and don't regulate your breathing to match it to your movement, which means you need to figure out what's a natural pattern for you, because it's different for every person, that's going to work. So for this exercise, for me, it's very simple. It's 2 counts. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Back to the Danshen. And then you're just kind of in neutral. And then breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, back to the Danshen, and in neutral again as you go through the cycle. That pattern works for me. I don't even think about it. It just happens very naturally. You could try that pattern. Whatever pattern you end with should be completely comfortable. Don't feel like you're losing your breath or you're breathing too hard. It should just feel very, very natural when you do this. Right? And then, one final thing. Whenever you return to your Danshen, you won't see me do this too much, although in the class when I'm teaching, I sometimes exaggerate it a little bit. You're bringing energy into the Danshen, like at the end, we do 3 circles, and there we do keep the energy. We're gathering Qi, breathe it into the 3rd eye, lower it to the Danshen, and then you let it cook. So it's like you've eaten a meal of energy. And you need to have just a moment, right, where that's literally cooking. Right? Feel it cooking. And then it's radiating energy out. This is called a burner, right? Like a little grill, a little burner. And you're cooking the Qi, and it radiates energy out to every cell in the body. You don't have to, sometimes, in a very formal kind of Qigong series, you will see people literally stay there for a moment. Let all that process happen. What's important is not how long you stay. What's important is that you're aware of that process going on, where you're imagining that process going on. As Genevieve said the other day, if you can't quite feel it, just imagine it. Right? Because imagination is the beginning of perception. Right? So bring Qi in, lower it into the Danshen, let it cook. Right? Radiates out, and again, bring in Qi, let it cook. Radiates out to the bottom of your feet, to the tip of your hair, and then again, bring Qi into the body, let it radiate out, and then the hands rest on the Danshen, and they rest in a certain pattern. In the center, more or less toward the center of your palm, not quite in the center, but a little bit up toward the knuckle of the index finger. There's an acupuncture point, right, on both sides. You want to place that acupuncture point on the Danshen, and then the other hand, the acupuncture point goes over the other acupuncture point. And then let your shoulders completely relax. Let your elbows relax. Just let the magnetism between your acupuncture points and the Danshen hold your hands in place. Now, the pattern is supposedly men are to put the left hand first, followed by the right hand. Women are to put the right hand first, followed by the left hand. I sort of just do it randomly, so seems to work. All right? And again, what are you doing? Well, Master Zhang used to say, this is meditation. You are truly meditating, not just in motion, but on stillness. So what you're doing is allowing yourself, even if it's just 10 seconds long, allowing yourself to touch on stillness again, which is always inside you. You should always be aware of that, but now you're really going to go and touch on that base. And Master Zhang used to say, inside, you look Dan Xian, you listen Dan Xian, you smell Dan Xian, you taste Dan Xian. In other words, your whole sensorium should be on your own center. Okay, so we'll just continue meditating while I talk. We don't really do much standing meditation in classes, just because the classes are so short. Maybe we should do a little bit though. But in serious Tai Chi training, you would do this meditation for an hour. Grandmaster Feng did 2 hours every morning for 11 years when he was training. Why do you do that? Annie has the real key to it. You're learning to stop. You're learning to let everything stop. Because without that grounding in stillness, all your motion remains a little bit chaotic. If you want your motion to make sense, it has to be grounded. Well, grounded in what? Grounded in stillness. So this kind of extensive meditation is meant to give you a taste of what that really means. Another way to explain it is our lives put a lot of static into our systems. How much time do you spend on your computer checking your emails or looking through YouTube videos? And I'm just as guilty as anyone else. Yeah, those videos are wonderful and they're fun and you get to watch rabbits and ducks, and that's what you can tell what I watch, right? I watch little animal videos, right? But the truth is, just looked at energetically, your body is being invaded by all these electromagnetic pulses from this machine. That's a kind of noise or static. And after you've done that for an hour or so, your whole body's doing this. Zzz, 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 right? And there's so much else in life that is disturbing in that same way. So the point of meditation, the reason you have to do this for more than 10 seconds, maybe for an hour, is to let the static die down and stop. And then you begin to get a taste of silence. And once you have that taste, now you've got a connection to it. So even in what can be static-inducing circumstances, you can always call on that stillness inside. Even when horns are honking and sirens are going and people are yelling, you can still find your own ground. I'll finish with a story. Once we were in Golden Gate Park, and we would practice on the music concourse, and Master Zhang said, let's do some meditation. We didn't do extensive meditation very often, but let's do some real meditation for half an hour or so. And the music concourse, this was in the late spring, was a very busy place. There's a lot of tourists coming in to go to the Science Museum or the Art Museum, and there's boom boxes and there's kids running around and dogs barking and families.
And other groups playing.
And other groups doing Tai Chi, etc. It's really noisy. It's a lot of static. And so someone said to Master Zhang, well, Master Zhang, let's go somewhere else in the park where it's nice and quiet. And what he said, and he wasn't being sarcastic, he really meant this question. His question was, why? Why? You don't have to go to a quiet place to find quiet. The quiet is inside you. So, from Master Zhang's point of view, this crazy, noisy atmosphere we were in was actually perfect for meditating. Can you just let all that noise happen and still stay quiet and grounded inside yourself? Okay, guys. Let's meet again tomorrow. We'll go on and finish this move. That was just the first half of this move. You guys have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.